So I'm super excited. Welcome, everyone. This is our Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0, and we have the phenomenal Phyllis on the line, and I have a chance to introduce her as our CSO, as our midwife. She is a mother, an entrepreneur. She is a real estate developer, and I'm telling you what, it's so exciting because in this industry, people start off sometimes as strangers, then they become associates, then they become friends, and they truly become family. Phyllis, you know how much I love you, appreciate you. You are absolutely leading the charge, absolutely our first diamond, our first double diamond, and helping us to reach the tip top. So without any further ado, go ahead and take it away, Phyllis Nash.
All right, now I'm going to share my screen, and I'm glad to be here, everybody. Hate I missed Boston, but I knew Melissa did as well, and I know you all turned up and turned out. And so everybody, I am just excited to bring before you the Flat Belly Lifestyle tonight, and you'll hear some from our lineup of Dr. Eric Prince. You just heard Melissa Boston, but she will be back, and Dr. Rita McGuire, and then our own Willie Milne, our diamond. And so here at Wakana, we want to share our vision. Our vision is that we exist to help end the negative stigma that has caused communities around the world to suffer and lose out on the health and wealth benefits of the cannabis plant. And our mission is that we're a catalyst to stir a movement. See, we knew we were never just a company, but actually a movement that inspires people to confidently move into the legal space as entrepreneurs, formulators, and investors, evoking the courage and strength of people to take back their health, wealth, legacy, and freedom. And so here we are, the four co-founders of Wakana. And just would you like to be a part of the multi-billion-dollar CBD industry? $7 million in cumulative sales in less than 3 years. We have our own Dr. Rita J. McGuire, who is our Chief Medical Officer, also our pillar of health. Then we have our President, Dr. Patricia Van Pelt. She is our pillar of wealth. Melissa Boston, which you're going to hear from in a little while, our visionary and our CEO, and myself, Phyllis Nash, the CSO. And so our medical board, I am just flat out excited about our medical board. Don't they do us proud? Headed up by our own Dr. Rita J. McGuire. We have every area present in the health field. We have social workers, chiropractors, MDs, PharmDs. We have a psychiatrist, psychologists, nurse practitioners, nurses. And guys, not only are they our medical board, but they recommend our products to their patients so they truly know the benefits of the Wakana CBD. So look at all the different areas that we're participating in. See, CBD is so versatile. As the time goes by, you will see more and more different products and industries that embrace CBD. When we started out, we had the tinctures, we had the topicals. We've since added Delta 8, and that is now a $7 billion industry. Hair care, we have added that to our line of products. That's an $87 billion industry. Skincare, $190 billion industry. We started off with essential oils, guys, that's a $20 billion industry. And when the pandemic came along, we pivoted because we wanted to help make sure our community was protected, their immune system. That's a $3.4 trillion industry. And weight loss, that's $288 billion, but guys, we're gonna knock it to the stratosphere with the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. And again, here we are. I'm going to introduce to you right now our own Dr. Rita J. McGuire. As I said before, she is our pillar of health, and she's a 30-year OB-GYN here in the Chicagoland area, having delivered over 8 1,000 babies, guys. And not only that, she is an expert in the cannabis industry. She was asked to come down and testify in front of the state legislature before they legalized adult use marijuana here in the state of Illinois. Dr. Rita is here, and she watches over Wakana, making sure we're compliant in the health industry as well as it pertains to our CBD. And without further ado, I'd like to bring to you our Dr. Rita.
Wow, thank you, Phyllis. Thank you for that warm introduction, and welcome all of our guests, all of our business partners. I'm going to share my slides with all of you now. Thank you for that warm introduction. So I'm going to talk about our BioScan. I'm going to first read the disclaimer that these products are not for use or sale by persons under the age of 18. It should not be used if you're pregnant or nursing. Always consult with your physician before you use any nutraceutical, supplemental dietary products, if you have serious medical conditions or if you're on medications. All trademarks and copyrights are property of their respective owners, are not affiliated with, nor do they endorse this product. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The test results are for reference only and are not a diagnostic conclusion. So when we talk about life force, the spiritual essence of the universe is called life force. You know, in Genesis 1:7, it says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." And when we talk about energy, it is just so appropriate when we talk about what we put in our body. When we put live food versus processed and dead food, that live food gives us energy. And energy is everything from dense physical matter like a rock to the words on this page and the ideas behind them is made up of energy. In fact, Albert Einstein said the future of medicine is energy medicine. And you may say, well, Dr. Rita, what is energy medicine? What is Albert Einstein talking about? Well, some great examples of energy medicine that you may already know is the Reiki method. Many of you have heard of Reiki, you've done Reiki, maybe you've undergone a Reiki session. Another is energy medicine is a healing touch. There are a lot of oncology centers in this sort of energy medicine to help heal those who have chronic long-term conditions. What is entropy? Well, entropy is and represents the unavailability of a system's thermal energy for conversion into mechanical work. It is a gradual decline into disorder. And when we talk about disorder, when we talk about disease, the healthiest humans have 100% reserve energy. And we as medical doctors really don't even recognize that sickness when it's at 30%, right? When your body is now functioning at 30%, and when it is at no point of return is at 4, and then at 0% is absolutely death, right? When there is no reserve energy, there is no return. When we look at the BioScan or the quantum analyzer, this is something that has now been utilized. It was invented in China, but it's been utilized for many, many years. The accuracy rate is between 85 and 95%, and it only takes 2 minutes to produce the results. When we talk about the results and we pair them up with these amazing products, Just know that there and beware of products on the internet that are bad copies of the original product with old generations pirated software and viruses. So our products are made and shipped directly from the original manufacturer. So something that is analogous to my field of medicine, when you think about a baby in a womb, right? You think about the amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid is actually made of the baby peeing, swallowing, peeing, and swallowing. Well, the same thing applies with the human body. It's made up of trillions of cells. And these cells go through this process of growing, splitting, regenerating, and dying. Growing, splitting, regenerating, and dying. For adults, approximately 25 million cells divide every second. And blood cells renew at a rate of 100 million per minute. So the body is really functioning at a very high level. The cell division, the renewal of the body actually emits electronic wave signals. So when we do the bioscan, we are looking at one, different stressors that affect the body. It can be environmental, it can be chemical, it can be internal stressors. And these signals determine whether the body is healthy or unhealthy. So these signals are compared with the spectrum of disease. We're able to see the spectrum of disease, if it's normal, if it's mildly abnormal, moderately abnormal, or severely abnormal. So this is an example of what the bioscan report looks like as it relates to the heart. We're looking at blood viscosity. We're looking at the thickness of blood. We're looking at if there's signs of early buildup of plaque in the blood. We're looking at the resistance on the vessels, increasing in resistance of vasculature in our body. And in our heart can be an indication that heart disease is something that could be occurring. And we want to look at these different modalities so that we can really help our loved ones, even ourselves, reverse things before they get to that 30%, that 4%, and that 0%, which is death. So is that my last slide? Oh my gosh. Just want to give it back now to Melissa, our visionary here at Wakana. Melissa Boston is amazing. Wife, a mother, a grandma. She's the CEO, the visionary of Wakana for Life. She's a pillar of legacy. She's the author of Proverbs Diet. She's a best-selling co-author. And I want to bring to you now, Melissa Boston. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing my slide.
Wow, Dr. Rita, first of all, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much. It's always wonderful to hear your perspective as someone who's been in the medical field. Not only that, but just an expert. I mean, you're often called upon, whether it's CNN, one of the major news networks, to share your opinion. And the fact that you're on the line tonight sharing it with us, that means so much. So thank you for all that you do. And of course, hearing from the phenomenal Phyllis Nash is always amazing. So hello, everyone. Super excited tonight to really share with you the Flat Belly lifestyle. In fact, you're going to want to hang on because we actually have some of our raw warriors out of Boston, Massachusetts, who are going to be on the line tonight to actually share their experience. I know many of you out there have completed the 21-day cleanse, and it's always great when we can hear, examples of people that are absolutely changing their life. And so Dr. Rita gave you a little bit about myself. And so again, hello and welcome. So the topic that I have for everyone tonight, it's called The Worst Disease You've Never Heard of. Before I jump into this topic, if you haven't had a chance to hear this presentation, I want you to take a guess at what you think that disease is. Think on that for a moment. The worst disease you've never heard of. Oftentimes when I travel, I get a lot of great feedback as it relates to what people think this is. But it's actually something that, again, many of us have never heard of. In fact, what I want to do real quick is show you the top 10 leading causes of death. And that specific disease is not on the list. But I want you to imagine for a moment that over 3 million people every single year are dying prematurely. And the reason why we say prematurely, because even scientists, right, even medical experts are telling us that a lot of the deaths that are occurring, 70 to 80% of those could have been avoided or prevented if we make different diet and lifestyle choices. We all know that we actually get some of our, genetics, of course, from our parents, but there's something that's known as epigenetics. And that means you get the ability to choose how you express those genes up to 70%. So 70% of that is within your control based on your diet and lifestyle choices. And so that's the purpose of this call tonight. We really want to bring awareness and really make sure that people are aware that there's technology out there that can actually help you see disease even before it occurs in the crisis level. And so the worst disease you've never heard of, I'll go ahead and share it. In fact, I'll go ahead and read this paragraph right here. It says, it often appears without symptoms, and it's frequently misdiagnosed. It affects nearly a third of all adults and can quietly progress to a life-threatening state. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is on the rise. And so, yes, you heard me correctly. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so let's look at really what this means. So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a potentially fatal condition, and it wreaks as much damage to your liver as would a bottle of vodka every single day. Now, I don't want you to take that information and say, hey, they just said drinking a bottle of vodka every day is better than having non-alcoholic fatty liver through food. That's not what this means. Because when you think about someone who dies of cirrhosis of the liver because they've drank alcohol, typically that progresses after decades. We often hear sometimes it catches them in their 50s, sometimes in their 60s, and oftentimes even in their 70s. But what we're witnessing is we're seeing 13 and 14-year-olds already dealing with a severe fatty liver. We're seeing people even at 17, at 24 years old, start to develop type 1 diabetes, and their liver is completely shot. And so what we want to make everyone aware is the food choices that we're consuming is actually leading us to a fatty liver even faster than alcohol. And we're going to show you some examples of that. But just know that it's a disease that's on the rise. In fact, it's on the rise worldwide, and it impacts 80 to 100 million people in the United States. And that's according to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. It's the new silent killer because 16 million of these people that develop that go on to have a more aggressive form. And for some of them, this is going to lead to cirrhosis of the liver. And so let's look at the stages of liver disease. See, ideally, we all have this healthy liver, a healthy liver that's free of this excess fat. But once the fat accumulates to the point that they can recognize it at about 5% liver fat, then that's diagnosed at the beginning stages of fatty liver. But it goes on to progress and gets even more aggressive. And so that's when fat deposits start to accumulate around the liver. But then all of a sudden, there's something called liver fibrosis. And that's when the liver can actually get damaged, where it can actually have scar tissue. And it makes it harder for the liver to start to make repairs. But then we can actually develop something called cirrhosis. And once you get to that level, that means there's severe scarring that's occurring on the liver. And at this point, there's no recovery. And so what's the only option? The only option is to do what? To get a transplant. But if we've already admitted to you that more than 80 to 100 million people are dealing with fatty liver, what is your chances of getting a healthy liver? And so why is this so damaging to the body to have the liver not function at its best capacity? When you think about diabetes and you think about insulin, we all know the pancreas releases insulin, but the liver also acts as this filter for the body. It also helps the pancreas by releasing insulin into the bloodstream to bring those glucose levels down. And so imagine this liver is now impaired. It's no longer releasing that insulin into the bloodstream. Now the kidneys have to go to work. And this becomes an endless cycle of disease, a vicious cycle of disease. And we're seeing this now in the bioscan. And even more devastatingly, we're seeing it in the bioscan of people younger and younger and younger. In fact, if you look here at a scan that we've actually done, someone who gave us permission to show this, we're not showing the person's name, but you can see that they actually have a severely fatty liver. And what's sad is many people are walking around with this fatty liver and they don't have a clue they have it. And that's why it's imperative that you spread this news to people you care about. Spread this to your family, to your friends, because we definitely want to get it under control, because it doesn't stop with just the fatty liver. It goes on. In fact, the consequences of this, it is estimated that every 30 seconds, a leg is amputated. And out of those amputations, do you know that 85% of those are a result of diabetes? In fact, it can go on to damage your kidneys, because now we have high levels of sugar in our blood, and over time it leads to kidney damage, and this ultimately leads to kidney failure. And so we can even pick up this kidney damage on our bioscan. This is a kidney report card of the same person who we actually diagnosed with that severe fatty liver. It's no surprise that this person is also dumping protein out the urine. And what is this causing? It's causing the kidneys to go into overdrive. And at some point, it could lead to kidney failure. And what's happening, guys, it's on a cellular level, because whatever is going on in your cells, it's going to affect your organs, which causes alarms to go off when we treat signs and symptoms and we don't treat the root cause. And we know that this is by design. What they have found that we, as African Americans, oftentimes we see this happening also with Hispanic Americans, right? They're putting these fast food restaurants all throughout our neighborhood. And what they've realized is we are willing to over-consume not only the animal consumption, but also this fast fried food. And as long as we're doing that, it's going to lead to kidney failure. It's going to lead to our livers getting fat, and it's going to lead to this epidemic of diabetes that we're seeing. I want you to think back 30, 40 years ago. Did you see all of these DaVita dialysis centers on every corner? Why is this now the norm, that you now see these? I remember you might see one in a community, but now there's multiple locations. And again, they're loading our neighborhoods with this fast fried food, this processed food. Oftentimes we're in food deserts. They're bombarding our children with commercials of food that literally is toxic. How could this be allowed? In Europe, they do not allow certain food commercials to happen when the food choices are not healthy, but they allow it here in America because they're driven by profits. And they know that this high lifestyle that we're living with high processed food and fatty foods and fried chicken and fried meat, they know that that's the cheaper way of doing it. And so they're making big profits off of our pain. And they're also convincing us that our healthy alternatives are things like processed lunch meat. But if you go to the American Cancer Society, if you go to the American Heart Society, look on the website, do you know that processed lunch meat is actually listed as a class 1 carcinogen? How could that be allowed for us to consume when they're putting nitrates on our lunch meat, loading them now with this carcinogen? And when you think about a class 1 carcinogen, what also is listed as a class 1 carcinogen? Cigarettes are listed on their same website as a class 1 carcinogen. Also, asbestos is listed as a class 1 carcinogen. How could the Lunchables that we've been giving our kids with the turkey meat that we think is a healthy alternative have something on there called nitrates? So if we're going to buy lunch meat, we need to ensure that it's nitrate free. We go to companies that actually have better and healthier alternatives, because the reality is they're creating trillion-dollar industries off our pain. But the bottom line, we become willful participants because we are willing participants spending our money on food that's killing us. In fact, we call this chewicide, where we are digging our graves with our very fork. And so we've got to put the brakes on this, because it's our children that are paying the ultimate price. Do you know that we have just given birth to the first generation of children? They're telling us will have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. With every generation throughout mankind, we've always improved life expectancy. How in the world is it that in 2022, we're going in the reverse? How is it that our children who are born after the year 2000, that means anyone 22 years or younger, they're already telling us that if they're African American, if they're Hispanic, they have a 1 out of 2 chance of having diabetes in their lifetime. But here's the reality. We're also here to spread the good news, because I know that you're on the line tonight. You've made the sacrifice, because I know it's March Madness and you could be doing a lot right now, but you've decided to invest time so that you can learn how you and your family can live the best life possible. You are ready to break those generational curses of disease that we thought we just inherited, not realizing we have a choice, and what they're doing is by design. But here's the reality. Yes, we have the choice to live our best life, but oftentimes faced with options, faced with the reality of where we're at, and faced with the solution, we oftentimes don't pick the solution. See, that's the power of the subconscious mind. And here's a quote from Erik Prince, our naturopath. He says, "You cannot consciously resolve your health issues on the same mental level that you unconsciously use to create them." And what that means is we are in control by the subconscious mind. It's controlling us. See, we might make the choice to say, hey, we want to do better. But when we drive by that restaurant that we love, we smell that food, all of a sudden our subconscious mind takes over and we make a detour. And so tonight, again, we're here to share the good news, because for me, for many of us, this 21-day process, I've never had an alcohol problem, never been to AA, but I'm telling you what, I've had a food problem. And for many of us, we've had a food problem. And if you didn't have a food problem, it would be easy for you to say yes to going on a 21-day cleanse. But it's oftentimes hard because we're so addicted to the food. But knowing it's by design, are you ready to do something about it? Make better decisions today. And it also starts with learning your blood type, because there are certain foods that are toxic to your blood type. And for me, as a type A child, raised by a type O mom, I never knew my whole life that her diet that might have been medicine for her was poison to me. By the time I was 19 years old, I found myself in a situation. I was facing emergency surgery. The doctor told my grandmother I had a 50% chance of living or dying. What I didn't know, that as a type A child, I had lower stomach acid. And as a result of that lower stomach acid, all that animal meat I had been fed my entire life finally caught up with me. And so, yes, if you're on the line tonight and you're maybe a type O, O stands for old. It's our ancient blood. It's really where, men and women at that time, were faced, with this great flood that occurred. And the animals ran for the hills, but the plants couldn't run. The plants got destroyed. And as a result of that, we had no choice but to eat the animals. And over time, we developed high stomach acids in order to break down the animal consumption, but we were never designed to eat the animals. It just so happens the O's can digest it a little bit more efficiently, because the A's came about as what we call agrigarians. They migrated further to handle larger populations, to grow food that can handle big cities. In fact, they became what we call the agriculture society, and that's why A means agrigarian. And so we're supposed to have a more vegetarian lifestyle. And then B means balance. And so B's actually started migrating even further north. So if you're a B blood, you might have Mongolia, Pakistan, Caucasian, of course, African. So many, many mixtures there. And so with our B blood, even though it's more of a balanced diet, so yeah, you have some of the characteristics of O, some of the characteristics of A, but there are certain things that are toxic to your blood. Certain things like chicken, toxic to your blood. And you might look on the list and wonder, why can't you eat the chicken, but you can eat the eggs? Because as people started migrating further up north, they actually didn't kill the chicken. They left the chicken whole and they only ate the egg. So the body never adapted to that. And now all of a sudden, as a B blood, you often find yourself having autoimmune diseases and certain crises because you never knew your whole life that chicken, seafood, like shrimp, crab and scallop, actually scallops, some B bloods can actually handle the scallop, but lobster, shrimp, and crab and chicken are toxic to your blood. And then we have our ABs. And so it's very critical that we stop eating in the dark and we learn our blood type. In fact, what I want you to do right now, if you know your blood type, and if you're on this Zoom, I want you to go ahead and put it in the chat, because we are on a mission. We want to help 1 million people learn their blood type in the next 18 months. And so go ahead and let us know out there who it is that knows your blood type. Okay, are you an A? Are you a B? Are you an AB? Are you an O? Because the reality is, it's so critical for you to know your blood type, your children to know their blood type, because again, one man's food could be another man's poison. And so when you think about why this occurs, you know, food actually has something called protein lectins. And what are protein lectins? These are the anti-nutrients. And do you know that when you eat something that your body identifies as an enemy, it actually launches an attack as if it was a foreign invader? That's the agglutination process. And in fact, if you've ever had your blood done on those cards, right, where you learn your blood type, you notice there's those little specks that happen. See, that's called agglutination. And the same thing happens every time you eat something that goes against your blood type. It starts to attack your kidneys, your liver, your brain, your stomach. And we want to definitely stop this dangerous spread of inflammation. And so we actually invite you out to one of our advanced sessions where you have a chance to get the bioscan. You know, Dr. Rita went over the heart scan. You know, I went over the liver scan and the kidney scan. But with these scans, it allows you to finally see what's happening on the cellular level. And we're offering these for free, guys. Do you know that we've actually seen people pay I think $850. I think Bernadine Kirkland, her and her husband paid $850 per scan, $1,700 4 years ago to get this exact same type of scan. How would you like to come in and get a scan for free? You can go to Flat Belly Events and see where we're at. We're traveling, taking this all across the country. So pretty soon we'll be in a city near you, but it's critical that you know your numbers. Here's an example of some of what this bioscan can measure and pick up. So yes, the blood viscosity. So we can know, is the blood too thick? That can lead to blood clots. You know, it can also look at the elasticity. We can see if plaque is starting to build up in those arteries. This is critical for us to understand this. You know, I was talking with a cardiologist and he told me, he said, you know, most people have plaque in their arteries. He said, even at 13 and 14, he said, here's the reality. He says, you're typically not going to be given a stent or being given medication by your doctor until it's at about 60%. And so wouldn't you prefer to find this out when it's at 20%, when it's at 30%? Why do we want to wait until the crisis and then now we're on medication or we're in the hospital getting a stent in our arteries? And so our products are really designed to work at the cellular level. We have 3 products. In fact, one of the products, the first one, it's really about mucus and parasites. You know, I don't know if you have heard of Dr. Sebi, but he's a legend in the naturopath world. And so what he taught us is that mucus and toxicity are the root behind any disease. When you think about even dementia, Alzheimer's, whether it's pneumonia, even people that had COVID-19 and all of a sudden their lungs were under attack. See, that's mucus, that's inflammation. And so our first product is designed to eliminate the mucus, to evict those parasites out the body. The second product is our liquid colonic. You know, it's time for a cleanse. You know, we've been living on this earth for how many years, and some of us are just filled with waste. We're filled with toxicity. So we now can know, right, why disease is occurring if we've never really cleaned out our body. And so we want to really clean our body at the cellular level by doing our liquid colonic. And we love this because we call it a purifier, because it's going to help you get out the waste, and it's going to really work to detoxify your organs at the cellular level. And the final product is a superfood. Oftentimes we see people go on cleanses, but they strip everything away and they don't restore. We know that it's also important that you don't have deficiency. Another item that Dr. Sebi would talk about is deficiency. You know, he saw so many people that not only had toxins, they had mucus, but they had deficiency. Those are a lethal combination, you know, for early death. And so with our program, we also put superfoods. These are healing superfoods like ashwagandha, beetroot, noni fruit, moringa, chlorella. These are herbs that are really extracted to help heal the body at the cellular level. We have prebiotics, we have probiotics, all of the things also designed to heal the gut. What we're also noticing is so many people are suffering with poor gut health. Their bodies not only are producing enough gastric juices to break down the food they're eating, but they're also not absorbing those nutrients as well. And so these are designed as a package. We call this our phase 3 package, and it's a 21-day cleanse that we invite you to go on with us. And so what I want to do real quick, before we actually move on to close this out, I've had a chance, over the last few days to spend some amazing time in Boston, Massachusetts. Oh my goodness. I was there with some of the most phenomenal women and men. And in fact, they're leading the charge here at Wakana, breaking a lot of records. But what I'm so proud of is really the mission they're on to help people reverse chronic disease. And I believe I might have 3 of them on the line with me tonight. I know I saw Tammy earlier. And so I want them to share just in about a minute of what their journey was like going on a 21-day raw cleanse. And so Tammy Texera, I know I saw you out there, so I'm going to bring you up, First Lady, if you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful.
How are you?
Yay.
Okay, so what I realized is that I had an issue with constipation, but didn't really understand that it was okay not to go to the bathroom for weeks. And so when I started with Wakana, I started with the bitters. Love the bitters, but didn't realize that I was not supposed to have bitters every week. And so when anything that works for me, I continue to use it. So I came to Chicago, and Dr. Rita said, no, maybe every quarter, but no, not every week, because it's getting rid of the good bacteria. So then I said I really needed to do something else because I was really killing myself. I didn't realize that I had so much waste in my body. I'm not that big, but I had waste. So when I started the 21-day cleanse and that liquid colonic, oh my goodness, I felt amazing. So I changed my diet, I did the cleanse, and realizing that I had more waste in my body that I really should have. I was taking, and then now that I think about it, that I was taking the medicines that the doctors was giving me, but it wasn't doing anything because I had all this waste in my body. But now that my body has regulated during the 21-day cleanse, I can't say enough about not only the liquid colonic, but also the superfood and the mucus buster, the mucus, and the parasites. And it makes such a difference when you change your diet and you use this. But yes, I was literally killing myself, but I feel so much better. And I thank Wakana, and I thank this 21-day cleanse, because I probably wouldn't have been here if I kept this up much longer. So yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, thank you. You see everybody clapping. Let's give it up for Tammy Texera.
Yeah.
Wow. We are so proud of you. Wow, she is a raw warrior. She completed those 21 days, and I've heard you're about to go on another one. So that just shows you become a different person after 21 days. What we never thought we could do, now it's just something we're knocking out the park, okay? So that was awesome. I know Angela's out there too, Angela Dickerson. I know I saw her. Hey, our other raw warrior, Boston is in the house.
Hi. So I know Frida is stuck at the airport, so she won't be able to join us. She left her charger here, so I'll definitely go and share my story. I came in kicking and screaming when it was time for me to do the cleanse. However, I myself suffered from constipation, loss of focus. I had a hard time concentrating, migraine headaches. And I mean, since I gave birth to my daughter 31 years ago, I thought it was normal to not use the bathroom except every 7 days. And so I went and I got a bioscan done in 2011, but there was no follow-up. I even went to go see an Asian holistic specialist, in the Braintree area here, in the Brighton area here in the Boston, Boston, and they would give me 7 bags of tea that we always say, get ready to drink your bag of dirt because it tastes so horrible. And so I would do the 7 days of tea, the 12 days of tea, and I stopped drinking everything cold. Everything was hot or room temperature, and I was still extremely gassy, bloated. And a lot of people thought, because I was a dancer and I'm always moving, that, I didn't suffer the way I was suffering. And it got to the point where I would miss certain events because it took me so long to kind of pull it together to get dressed. It got to the point where I had to give myself enemas twice a week because it just got so unbearable. And so Burn had started the cleanse first. And I was just like, I'm not doing the cleanse. I joined Wakana for CBD, for the tinctures and the pre-rolls, because it was helping me with my pre-concussion at the time. But then I started seeing blood in my stool. And when I would eat certain foods, I would feel I can feel the inflammation in my body, swelling up from my abdomen area and down to my rectum. And I was just like, something is going on. This is not normal. And I no longer wanted to get used to that. So I called Burn crying and I was like, okay, Burn, I don't want to wait until it's an emergency. I went to see a GI doctor and they told me if I don't pull it together that they were going to cut the whole bottom half of my colon off. And I was just like, that's not going to happen. You're not cutting on me. You can't give me a diagnosis. You never told me to go see a nutritionist. You just said slow transit system. Well, what is that? And how do I fix it, right? So I went to the store and got stuff for the cleanse with Burn. Mind you, I had already had the cleanse because I ordered it with the first batch with the pre-order, and I was fighting myself. I guess you get used to eating the foods that you're eating, and you probably have worms and parasites in your stomach, and you don't realize what you're craving and why you want to keep eating the way that's not good for you. And so I started on a Tuesday, day 3 and 4, I got the chills and the shakes, and I was just like, oh my goodness, my body is really, really detoxing. And I struggled. It was really hard for me. I didn't want to announce it. I didn't want to post anything about my journey because I wanted to make sure that I got through it. And so when I think I made it to day 14, and I was just like, I don't know. I need some help. I need some ideas with some recipes because I'm getting bored. I love food that pops. My food has to have flavor. If I don't have no homemade pepper sauce, some purple onions, some Wakana garlic fire, if my food is not popping and don't have no spice and kick, we have a problem. And so we made it to day 18, and one of my sister friends, Gina, showed me how to do the collard green wrap, made me some homemade hummus. And she was like, you're going to make it. You're going to do this. Drink you some hot green tea to get that gas out. And you got this, sis. You are my inspiration. So I'm right behind you. So I had to finish because I had everybody looking at me. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to be a coach. If I don't make it through, but made it through. I've been going to the restroom on my own. I am so grateful. My energy level is returning. I'm getting my glow back. And I just tell people it's all about eating to live. We have to eat to live because food is healing. Food is medicine. And so I was on the phone earlier today, coaching Tasha and her sister Candace. She was at the store grabbing her stuff. And she's like, well, I don't eat salads and I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I said, you want to do it now before it's an emergency. And so here I am. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. 30 pounds of waste from phase 2 and 3, and I'm excited.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness, 30 pounds of waste. I mean, just to think of where you were. And so, oh my goodness, this cleanse is just extraordinary. Guys, we got to give it up, give it up, give it up. Isn't that amazing? I mean, Boston, you guys, oh my goodness. And I was telling Angie earlier, I said, you know what, with your testimonial, sometimes you go through a test and you wonder, why has this happened to me? We learned that she's a blood type B. And she said when she was eating chicken, she didn't realize every time it was causing this inflammation, because she said she would have so much discomfort from eating the chicken, not knowing it was toxic to her. And just learning this is your test that's your testimony. And now you're going to go empower all the people around the world. So that was amazing. We can drop the mic right here because these ladies have just shut it down tonight. You see the chat is blowing up. Everyone is so proud of you guys. And so what we're going to do now, just because, again, we've heard it all. I mean, at this point, what more can we say? We're going to turn it over to Willie Mooney because I want him to close us out tonight. In fact, let me go ahead and bring up his bio real quick because this is someone I am so proud of. I mean, when I think about Willie, he's been so instrumental. In fact, he's the person who introduced us to Dr. Prince. And yes, we will actually bring Dr. Prince back up too. But we really wanted to, first of all, just hear from our awesome group there in Boston. But I know Willie's going to probably bring Dr. Prince up for a moment just because he's the inventor of this whole 21-day process. And so we are so forever grateful for him. And so Willie Mooney is a father. He is a husband. He is a minister. He is an entrepreneur. He is a diamond director, Gold Dispensary here with Wakana, and a founding member. And again, he is so instrumental in really helping us to kick off the Flat Belly lifestyle. We often see him there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, sacrificing so much to help all of us. And so without any further ado, Willie Mooney, can you go ahead and take it away?
Hey, Melissa, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Hold on one second. Let me see. All right, hold on. Wait a minute. Is this what I want to show? No. Hold on one second. Hold on. Here we go. I'm choosing the wrong slide. Oh, hey, everybody. Amazing. That testimony, all of the testimonies actually were very, I like to say, transparent. Thank you so much for sharing, you all. I'm gonna try not to cry because I see so many different people really benefiting from this platform. And we have such amazing people, women, founders, but God has been sending us really exactly what we need to influence the world. And that hits me with a passion. It can be very personal for me, as you can see. I was pregnant with 2 babies, right? I think they were about a little more than 20 pounds each. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. The scale that you're looking at is not the whole truth. It's just a partial truth. I'm telling you, I was more than 220 pounds, 21 pounds. And even when I point out November, when I point out, I didn't point out what happened in December, right before Christmas. Like I picked up 5 more pounds. But I'm kind of giving a perspective of weight lost. And some of you know about the yo-yo diet. You know, we gain weight, we lose weight, we go through fad diets, we lose weight. We get in the gym, we're like hamsters on a wheel. We lose weight, we gain weight. So I do love that we are able to take an approach when you hear about, and you guys will go to the website and you'll hear about phase 1 and phase 2. And me personally, I like to kind of look at that and classify that as not everybody is ready to jump into a phase 3, right? And just say, okay, they're not ready to get rid of the meat, right? They're not really ready to go completely raw. But phase 1 kind of points out that if that's you, you're not really ready to get rid of the meat, then you probably would start like I did, which is what you're seeing from August to November. Well, that's that phase 1 where I did lose weight, but I didn't lose the waist. And I was pretty, at the time, satisfied with that until Dr. Prince, Eric, my frat, showed me differently. And he showed us differently. This phase 3, you all, has done something that I hadn't been able to do for years. The picture in the middle represents me right now, and I would say right before Hawaii, right? As you can see, there's a different look on my face. I'm smiling and I'm having an awesome, amazing time. And I was even able to take this to Hawaii. You all, I never, let me hear you say, like Chris Tucker say, never would take off my shirt. But I got a chance to go to Hawaii with my wife and my son, and a first time experience of getting in the pool, walking around the pool with my shirt off because I didn't have the man boobs. And let me tell you, I didn't do any working out. I didn't do working out to get to this point of happiness. Now, let me say before I even go any further, we're not making any claims. We're not claiming to treat, cure, mitigate, or diagnose any disease. But let me tell you, I think that you should, because on one end, I think that you should challenge your doctors to talk to them about and asking them what's really going on in your body. And I think we should do that even when we go shopping and we're looking for stuff at GNC or Walgreens, right? But at the same time, I think that we need to do a little better with paying attention to when God sends help, right? So this disclaimer is on our website as well. But God really, really, and I'm saying this from a Minister Mooney's perspective, I really do, and listening to the testimonies, I know that God sent us help. So there's something that you can do right now. And there's a couple questions you probably should be asking yourself, because even being resistant when Eric came by and Melissa and he talked to Phyllis, our CEO and our chief sales officer, and they start hugging. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing? What is going on? I'm not about to do that. The truth of the matter is that I had to ask myself 3 questions. Did I know my blood type? He was talking about knowing, and I didn't know my blood type. Did I really know what was going on inside of my body? To be honest, I didn't. And then when I saw our chief sales officer, Phyllis Nash, take that leap and say that her and then Dr. Rita and then Melissa, what would a leader do? I couldn't push back and say, I'm not doing it. So you all, this is the results of my first scan. Wasn't what I really, and I'm not showing the other parts. I'm not showing the liver and the kidney. I'm not going to do that. But I was proud because I got a chance to see my numbers being different. And to the right, you could take a screenshot of this. This is our CEO really sharing with me how well I had done. Now, you heard me mention I didn't work out. So on this second scan, right, in February, and I tell you, I was sitting in the class as a guinea pig. Dr. Eric Fratt, my brother, he looked over at me and he looked at the scan. He looked at it. He looked over at me while I was sitting there, looked at the scan, and he said, "Oh, you've been doing pretty good, but you haven't worked out." I was like, "Oh, how you go bust me out like that?" But so all to say is that there's a co-op that needs to happen when you identify that, yes, you're doing something different in your life, but it doesn't negate the fact that we need to move. So that's pretty much what my report. A lot of my numbers and a lot of my measurements moved to the green. And the way that I did this was not in phase 1. Phase 1 is amazing. Let me tell you, if you are not ready to get with the meat, you can still be plant focused by downloading the free ebook on flatbellylifestyle.com, right? Flatbellylifestyle.com. And you can download a free ebook. It'll show you how to eat according to your blood type, and it'll even show you the premium meats that's especially for you, right? But that's saying you're not ready to get rid of the meat or the fish, right? Or whatever has eyeballs. Phase 2 is saying, okay, I do want to start moving a little bit further towards being totally plant-based and not just plant-focused. And that means you will begin to get rid of the meat. You will get rid of the meat while taking on some of our supplements, right, that will curb your appetite, right, help that flat belly come down, getting rid of the weight, not the waste. And the reason I share that is because you will still be eating cooked vegetables, but it still can't create mucus. So you're not doing a total reset. Now, phase 3 is a lot different. I started to use the word because cleanse wasn't the word for me. Detox wasn't the word for me. And I was like, man, what is it? And flush, I was like, okay, flush. That just wasn't the word for me. What I realized what happened with my body was a total reset. I said, that word works for me. So phase 3 is like a reset, because you heard Melissa and you heard Dr. Rita, you probably heard Eric Prince before talk about where there's the arteries, plaque on the arteries. There's something going on with the liver. There's something going on with the colon. There's something going on with the kidneys. And that means that when have these things going on, fatty liver disease and all of these different things, diabetes and borderline diabetic and A1C counts off, your body needs a total reset. That's how I classified that. And that's literally what I needed. I'm a cancer survivor, and I never wanted to play with Russian roulette with life. So I decided, once again, even with resistance, to do phase 3. These are the prices that you see. Please get with the person that invited you. And even so, be transparent. Drop it in the chat if somebody did invite you. Drop their name in the chat, because I feel that they love you. They thought about you enough, right, to offer you a free bioscan, especially if you're in a Chicagoland area, willing to share with you how to understand what your blood type is. And that's just $10. You can actually do it at home, or you can go to our website. But then we have exactly what you have been looking for if you've been looking to start somewhere. Now, I'm not just talking about losing weight for a season because we're going into the summer. No, I'm talking about a whole lifestyle. So go to flatbellylifestyle.com, and there's so much that you can do there. You can join a community. You can even get encouragement. You can download a free ebook, because some of this stuff may sound foreign to you. I understand it sounds foreign to me, but I actually love the fact that I was able, and I'm still able, to look at a short list, a beginner's list, that shows me I'm blood type B positive, right? That shows me what's good for me and what's toxic for me. Remember, some people's food is another person's poison, and that's just not good. So you would rather know than not know. And if you want to join us in the Facebook community, right, you can always you see that QR code right there, that vision code. You can put your cell phone up to that, turn on the camera, and it'll take you straight to our Facebook page. Now, on the Flat Belly Lifestyle page, what I love is the ultimate support. A lot of times we start with different communities. We start with different, not communities, but we start different programs, and there's no help. There's no one ushering us to exactly what we need. I love the fact that we have a coaching community. Praise God, Dr. Prince saw his vision going so much further than himself or his immediate team. He had the passion to say, you know what, I want this to go worldwide. And combining with our CEO, who's just a visionary, it's amazing when God puts those type of people together. And we've seen it before, because we saw it with Wakanda. We saw it with Dr. Rita. We saw it with Senator Patricia. We saw it with Phyllis Nash. See, and this is the confirmation that I needed, that I'm in the right place at the right time. So we've even established another community so that if you wanted a flat belly, or if you wanted to change your life, you have all the support that you need. So I love the fact, you all, that my friends, my family, this is my frat brothers and their sister, that I've been able to actually invite them to this space. And it doesn't stop there. You see, man, when I look at where I was and I look at where I am now, you could actually see it in my face. And I'm like, I think Benjamin Buttons is starting to be my friend now. What about you? Let me tell you, I'm so proud of my cousins, right? I mean, look at this. This is not like, I'm like, what is going on here? This is not anything that I've ever seen before. And when you see a person go from one look in their face to a whole big smile and feeling happy and confident, that is amazing. I mean, not just women, but I mean men. This is not a respected person. We are losing baby men giving birth to babies. And I mean, it just doesn't stop. It's not a respected person. I'm telling you, if you look, some of you recognize these people, and I'm putting them on blast, right? Because I'm showing you that the proof is in the pudding. It's right there before you. Let me tell you, I love food. So if you are thinking that even going vegan and even going plant-based, that you're gonna miss out on food, I bet you, just like me right now, you're licking your lips. This is all plant-based and even raw. Look at the bottom left side of that corner. Would you believe that is a raw soup? And I tell you, it's hearty. I'm gonna use the word loosely, meaty. And even when you look to the right, walnut meat. Even when you look to the top, the upper right hand, noodles that are raw. And I'm constantly, that's my Super Bowl, the two up to the top right, left, those are my Super Bowl specials. I mean, mod pizza, all vegan, plant-based, right? Gluten-free crust. And those are cauliflower wings. Tastes better than chicken wings. Cheese fries, made my own cheese. Let me tell you, this is what happens with a community that moves first and they say they're going to support you all the way. We have a coaching community. And let me tell you how this works. See, we have to be qualified. And the way that we know what to do and how to support you is we've been through the cleanse ourselves. 21 days, I've went through actually 2. I feel amazing. I love that there's a standard, right? So we actually purchased a wellness coach pack. We had to get through our 21-day cleanse, right? We had to attend certification. And then we learned how to use the BioScan. And then Dr. Prince taught us well. And we're still learning. We love that we're in an environment where there's constant learning. We had to pass, we're looking forward to pass an exam, receiving an official certification. But I tell you, it's so amazing because like I showed you the pictures with my family, like I showed you the pictures with my friend, there's an organic desire for people to want to do better. And it says, reach one, teach one. This is what we believe in. This is, if we are sitting around our friends, it's just natural for them to ask, what are you doing? I want to do it. I want to get started now because my chat has been blowing up just from this share. So with that being said, let me tell you, I believe that to whom much is required, even more is given, and to whom much is given, even more, I messed that up. To whom much is given, much more is required. To whom much is required from, even more is given. That's my favorite scripture. So I love the fact that if someone decided that they even want to be a coach, that they can, right? And our compensation for that is fair. It's so fair because we're not a part of a company that's very stingy. We're not part of a company that pours its wealth into just the top people. We pour a lot into the person who's actually on the battlefield, actually going through exactly what you have went through. And this is what the compensation highlight. So you might want to know, what are your next steps? What do you do? The first thing is get with the person that invited you. Ask yourself, just like I did, did I know my blood type? Do you know your blood type? That's a big start, because if you don't know whether you're an O, whether you're B positive, whether you're A, then you're already at a disadvantage because you don't know. You don't know that avocado or even an orange may be toxic to your body. I didn't know. And I love avocado. Let me tell you, I love shrimp. I love lobster. Why did I have to be a B positive? But I'm a B positive about it and then share with you, get your BioScan, just so you know what's going on. If you're not in the Chicagoland area, that's okay. I promise we will be to you real soon. And even like there's some people out of New York. I don't know what's going on with New York and that Boston area. Like they did not wait at all. They went straight into the website. No BioScan at all because they were convinced we needed to do something. So go to the website and get with the person who's invited you so that you can get that phase 3. So with that being said, look, we're on a mission. I believe that we can break the Guinness Book of World Records. If I speak it, I know it's possible and I know it will come true. I believe we can do it quicker than 18 months. But just as a disclaimer, I'm putting out there 18 months, but 1 million blood type tests is happening. It is happening right now. And I'm watching the numbers just grow exponentially for people who just want to know because maybe you haven't been told what's your blood type. So join us in this mandate. Now, I know he's out here somewhere, because some of you may have some short questions. I'm gonna take about 3. We usually take 3. If you get real good, I'm gonna tell you we're gonna go a little further. But without further ado, I'm so grateful for my fraternity brother. I'm so grateful that really he humbled himself by coming to the dispensary just to check on me, just to see how well I was doing, just to cheer me on. And all of a sudden, God did what he did. So if he's here, I want to bring him up to the stage. Let me see if he's
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, cool. Y'all hear that voice? Let me stop.
1, 2.
Right. Let me stop my screen so you can see him. All right, he got on his specs. I ain't seen your nose. What's going on?
Nothing more. I had to come with my cool reading glasses.
Praise God. So let's.
Hey, God bless you. Go ahead.
I love to
Ernestine.
hear. Hey, yeah, I love to hear from the doctor's perspective. You know, a lot of times we get a chance, and you all join us on Wednesday night, Tuesday night. That's when Dr. Rita, we have an amazing medical advisory board, and I love to hear from those who have been in the position to really help a lot of people. So this is the time that if you do have a question, drop it in the chat. We'll try to catch that question. But you know what? I know we're in a new month. We're out of Women's Health Month. But it's, this company is 85. Really, I know our CEO was being very conservative by saying 85% women, but it's about 95% women. So I want to ask Dr. Prince, really pertaining to the women, like, what do you, from your 11 years experience, and then I want Dr. Rita to chime in with a question, but from your 11 years experience, when looking at what you have seen consistently, right, dealing with women, what is the part on what's going on with their bodies that really make your heart hurt? Wishing you can do more about it. What is it that sticks out to you?
Well, what I have noticed based upon the patterns is one thing that women have accepted that is just a part of their life, which is a heavy cycle. A heavy menstrual cycle is not a part of a normal life. We've just accepted it because it's common. And that's why I tell people, just because something is common doesn't make it logical, and doesn't make it natural, and doesn't make it rational. A period was called a period because it was only spots. It wasn't a flow. And so what's happening is that because women have 6 channels of elimination and men only have 5, that's why they tend to say that women live longer than men, because you have more channels through which to release them toxins and the waste. Whereas if we clog up 3 of our channels, we only have 2, which is your urinary tract and your gastrointestinal tract. But if a woman clog up 3 of theirs, they have the gastrointestinal tract, the urinary tract, and the menstrual cycle. Well, that's okay, but here's the problem. If the other channels are clogged up and the menstrual cycle is heavy, then now that's bringing you pain and suffering consistently every month. And so what I've seen is as they start cleansing and detoxifying their body, they open up their lymphatic system. They open up the skin, the perspiration. They open up the lungs, respiration. They clear out the urinary tract. They clear out the gastrointestinal tract. And guess what happens? The menstrual cycle becomes light, even back to the point where it's now at period. Now it's only spots. Sometimes women think that they miss their period because they don't see it. It's not as usually coming as it normally does because they're used to the cramping initially start, the premenstrual cramping. But then what's happening is women not even getting the premenstrual cramping. They're not seeing the bleeding and they're wondering, what happened to my heavy cycle? Well, once you open up all your channels, you don't have any more heavy cycles anymore. Now you don't have to take the Motrin. You don't have to take the drugs in order to help to manage the pain. There is no more pain because now your body doesn't need that channel anymore. So now you're back to 5 channels, which is good for women who go into menopause, because if you go into menopause, then you only have 5 channels left. So now you have to do something to keep those other 5 channels open so that you won't have more problems in the uterine area. And that's the patterns that I've seen most.
Let me ask, because you know what? You're mentioning channels. And if anybody is thinking like myself, being a little naive, most of the time, I only think that there's, based off of what I've learned, two channels of, I'm looking at when I say cleanse or when we say detox, we're looking at our colon, which is one way, or the urinary, right? They're coming out that. Please name all the channels, because I'm naive to that. Because I think when we look at the liver, everything that needs a reset or cleanse or a flush, what are those channels again? Can you name them all?
First understand that your body releases waste in the form of liquid, solid, gas. That's how waste comes out, because that's how we take in toxins, or that's how we take in anything. So the urinary tract deals with the liquid a lot. Of course, your gastrointestinal tract deals with the solid stool. Those are kind of common, but we don't understand that when you work out, your skin is perspiring and waste is coming out through your pores. When you heat that lymphatic fluid up, which is your lymphatic system, now that fluid, which is cellular waste, is now coming through the system, because now you're heating it up and it can move. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the circulatory system. Those are two different systems, but each one of them deals with waste a different way. So if you don't work out, then you don't heat up the lymphatic fluid, then the fluid can't flow and it swells up your lymph nodes. That's why you may have swollen lymph nodes up under your neck, up under your armpits or in your groins. And sometimes your tonsils are swollen. Well, the tonsils are a part of the lymphatic system as well, and the immune system. So when those swell up when we're kids, what do the doctors do? They just take them out, because they don't understand how to flush your whole system. So the lymphatic system is elimination channel, and then also your respiratory system. That's when you're blowing off waste in the form of what? Carbon dioxide. So now you're getting rid of, now if you're working out, you're opening up 3 channels. If you don't work out, you're only dealing with 2 channels. That's why I say during the cleanse, you want to work out and detox, so you can open up all your channels. And guess what? This little 6th one, which is the menstrual cycle, we don't need it. So now you're back to living a normal life without a heavy menstrual cycle.
Okay. I want to divert to a question from Dr. Rita. Are you there, Dr. Rita? Our Chief Medical Officer?
I am here, Minister Mooney.
All right. Go ahead, shoot away. I know you have something.
Well, what I'm seeing is an increase in thyroid disease in women. More and more women are being diagnosed with Graves' disease, Hashimoto's disease. And we know, again, that disease state is a result of dehydration, deficiencies, and toxins. So that's why this cleanse, this program, this lifestyle is so important for women who overwhelmingly, more and more each and every year, are being diagnosed with thyroid conditions. So deficiencies in iodine, dehydration, juicing. We have the key to reverse those concerns that cause a buildup in the thyroid, that are deficiencies of the thyroid, with our juicing, our detox, our herbs, our regenerator, our eliminator, and our liquid colonic. So that is something that I'm seeing more and more women, and excited that we're able to really assist those women with thyroid conditions.
Now, this is amazing, because you mentioned the word, and we don't hear this often. And I know we don't make any claims, medical claims, but I've always thought that when you get a certain way, like, and you get to a certain point, that certain things are irreversible, right? But you all have been using the words, like I use the word Benjamin Button, age reversal, and, this cleanse or detox or flush or reset. So you mean to tell me that there's something that we can do with our bodies in which we can, this reversal, this, what do we call it, rehabilitation, whatever the case may be, is possible? It would, like with some of these things that our bodies are experiencing?
Well, I think it's really important, Minister Mooney, that we make it clear that don't think you're going to do the 21-day cleanse and go back to normal. You really have to do the 21-day cleanse and honestly understand that a plant-based lifestyle truly is the way to continue to reverse these things, to keep the weight off, right? We yo-yo all the time, and we're yo-yoing because we're going back to those old ways, to a lot of cooked food, a lot of processed food, and a lot of animal protein. And the 21-day cleanse for me personally was a wake-up call. And that wake-up call is the result of now me being a raw vegan. I feel amazing. I feel my blood pressure came down 10 points because I was having a blood pressure issue, Dr. Eric. And, you know, I have embraced the lifestyle that one, my blood type dictates, and that all of our bodies need for longevity and wellness. So
I want to follow up with that, because that was really heavy. Because a lot of times we can cliche and say cleanse or plant-based lifestyle. And we can do these things as a fad for a short period of time, but you said lifestyle. Eric, I want to chime in to you because I've heard you say, and Melissa did cover earlier, about cells, right? Are the cells that are in our body. And I never really paid attention to that. I know biology, we see cells alive, but you share something that's pretty deep about how cells actually work. Does this cleanse or this lifestyle that we're talking about, and I hear Dr. Rita with what she just mentioned, what is happening with the cells in our body? Can you go into elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, that's pretty simple. What the point is that we have about 50 trillion cells in our body, 50 trillion, and we started from one cell. So the fact that you started from one cell and it created the amazing beings that we are only means one thing, that we can recreate ourselves, because the genes, the genetics, our DNA carries our blueprint, and your DNA is your blueprint. So if you tear down a building and you have the blueprint to that building, you can rebuild that building. And that's the thing you have to understand, is that you can rebuild any part of your body if you believe it is done unto you. If you don't believe it, then it can't work, because by your belief, which is the power that God gave us to co-create on this planet, if you don't believe it, then no, you're not going to have a regeneration. You're not going to have a repair or a reset. You have to believe in this process. And as you believe in it, then it gives you the power to regenerate those kidneys, regenerate that liver, regenerate your organ. And now you are looking at a reset, which means now you can go back to the memory, because your genetics carry the memory of who you were when you were in your 20s. But you have to activate that memory. You see, your genes can make anything. You know, when we see these movies and we see gene mutation and then they become something else, what is it saying about our genes? It says that our genes carry so much infinite potential to do things that we can never even imagine yet. And we're just tapping the surface of it. Once you really understand that your genetics have superhuman ability in it, but you have to activate that ability. We're actually shutting it down based upon the diet. Maybe that was planned, I don't know. But meat does not allow you to become a superhuman. And athletes are finding that out now. That's why the Game Changer shows us that athletes are really not realizing that plant-based protein is better for their performance. They're like, wait a minute, I was taught that eating meat was better for my performance. But as I get into my 60s, eating meat is not so manly, because what are we doing? We're not able to perform like a man anymore. Because we're experiencing ED, because the meat is clogging up our arteries. So we have heart disease in our prostate. We have heart disease in our uterus. We have heart disease now in our brain, which is causing strokes. So when we eat the meat, we don't flush our system, then every cell in your body is about negative 1.4 watts, 1.4 watts. So if you multiply negative 1.4 watts times 50 trillion cells, that means you have about 70 trillion watts of energy in your body before you even consume any food. We think food gives us energy. No, food takes the energy that you already have and it tries to raise it to a level. And while it's doing that, that's where the mucus is formed. Because when you eat live food, you're going to feed your body life. When you eat dead food, you're going to feed your body death, and it starts to lose its vitality. So if the cells don't have enough vitality, they can't function. So when you clean the toxins off the cells and out of the cells, now their vitality comes back. Now they can function at their highest optimum level.
That's amazing.
And that's what allows them.
That's amazing. You know what? And this is me saying this from my experience. I've experienced chemotherapy. I've experienced radiation to the brain, right? Some people say I'm not rap type because of that, but you know what? What relating to the experience of those, that medicine, I know what it feels like for cells to be killed, or the body to be stripped down to its core, and looking for something to happen. And I'm gonna say this, that I believe, and this is coming from my perspective, that I'm here today because there were some hematology, oncology doctors that were wise enough at the time to give me that, at the time, radiation, strip my, killed the abnormal cells. Chemotherapy killed the abnormal white blood cells. And then all of a sudden was waiting for my spinal cord or whatever it is, with my limited knowledge, to produce good blood cells. So I'm familiar from just my limited understanding of God doing something, right? And allowing my body to do what it was created to do, right? So it doesn't seem so far-fetched that when I look at the reset or I look at the cleanse, just in my limited understanding, that our bodies is not chemotherapy, but is it possible? And I always like to put out a rhetorical question. Is it possible? And because I've experienced 2 cleanses and I feel amazing, and I know my body is not the same, but I'm down to 195 pounds, my college weight. And I'm like, okay, I would ask the rhetorical question, is it possible that the same reset can happen having a plant-based lifestyle when we're talking about cells? And I'll answer my own rhetorical question and say, I think it is, knowing my God, right? So thank you so much. I have one more question. Naina has an amazing question, and I know we talked about fatty liver, and this will be our last question. But curious, what type of foods or what contributes to a fatty liver? I know that's scary. We saw cirrhosis. We saw a healthy liver move. And I share this with everybody who I do a scan with. We saw a liver move from green to technically red, because there's 4 colors: green, blue, yellow, red. And that cirrhosis seems to represent, not maybe exactly, but it seems to represent red. What foods can contribute to a fatty liver?
Well, that's pretty obvious now that we have the scan. Before, we might not have understood it. But basically what the scan is showing us is just showing us the consequences of an animal-based diet that man was never designed to have. And the fact that we're trying to consume beef, pork, chicken, and turkey because it was given to us, the fact that we're trying to consume it, your liver was not designed to eat animals. It was designed for plant protein, not animal protein. So the reason it's clogging up is because you're giving it the wrong substance. And if you clog up the liver, and remember, the life of the flesh is in the blood. So if the life of the flesh is in the blood, and the liver, which is the detoxifier of the blood, cannot function, then you don't even become a worthy sacrifice. Because even in the times when God was taking sacrificial animals, he wasn't taking the blemished ones. He was taking the unblemished, which means they had to have clean blood. They had to be pure animals. That's why I said the life of the flesh is in the blood, and Passover is coming up. But what is the real meaning of Passover? You have to clean your blood. So the angel of diabetes can pass over your house. The angel of MS can pass over your house. The angel of diabetes, heart disease, cancer can pass over your house. These are spirits that will attack you if your blood is not clean, because the life of the flesh is in the blood. And the reason that we're having all these diseases is because God has taken us back to our original diet. Remember, he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So if our original diet meant us not attacking and killing each other, animals, then he has to go back to that original diet because he didn't make a mistake. That's why he said, and I want to read this before I let you go. It said, for behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, for the former shall not be remembered, nor even come to mind. And in that new heaven, there should be no more thence, an infant of days, nor an old man that have not fulfilled his days. Check this out. It says, and a child shall die at 100 years old. What is that saying? That means that if you're 100 years old in this new heaven and new earth, you're still considered a child. Well, how is that in the new heaven and new earth? Because in the old heaven, man was living up to 900 years. So if you're living 900 years and if somebody died 100, yeah, you're still considered a child. So what's happening is that we're fulfilling prophecy. When you fulfill prophecy, God cannot stop the prophecy from being fulfilled. So we can either move with prophecy or we can get stumped by the aggression or the progression of prophecy. Because he says that the wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullocks, and the dust of the serpent shall be his meat. There should be no hurt nor destruction in all of my holy mountain, said the Lord. So what is he saying? The prophecy is that at some point, the whole world will be back vegan. But in order for us to get there, we have to be willing to let go the habit and the diet of consuming animals because our body was never meant to do it. So we got to flush it out in order to break that curse.
Okay, one last. This is the very last, very, very last. Because this is getting good, and I'm looking at the chat, and I'm like, wow, okay. So I get this a lot, especially when it comes to the liver. And a person will say, well, it's not the meat, right? Are there, let me ask this, not eating according to our blood type, can it also affect the liver? And
yeah, so there are multiple things that are going on in our body. And so not eating according to your blood type means that you're eating food that your body is identifying as an enemy or foreign to the system. Anytime your body identifies something foreign, the immune system has to go to work. That means that the immune system is going to target red blood cells and white blood cells in different organ systems. And it's going to cause that waste to be disposed of. So if year after year, if we're constantly eating foods that we should be avoiding, then we're making unnecessary waste because the body has to destroy and remove those white blood cells because they're dead, red blood cells because they're dead because they went to work. What it means now? So now you're building up all this waste from just your immune system trying to protect you because you're eating in the dark. When you're eating in the light, you're preserving your immune system, you're limiting the waste production, and now your body is able to handle the toxic waste overload.
Wow. Okay, I did say, but with that being said, I gotta chime in to Dr. Rita, because I mean that's real powerful, and I know her being a medical practitioner for let me validate this. Not validate, but let me speak on this. So there are certain questions that I ask for a certain reason, and I love that iron sharpens iron, and this is how powerful I think that God is bringing this space into Wakanda because we have both Dr. Prince and we have Dr. Rita. Now, Dr. Rita has heard Dr. Prince share some things, and I see her doing right. And then, so, Dr. Rita, if there's something that you wanted to weigh in based off of what Dr. Prince shared that everybody can take away, right? Based off of what you heard, what you know, what would that thing be? What would it be?
Well, I would just weigh in by saying sugar is a huge issue with fatty liver and our community. We're addicted to sugar. Another big problem is white flour. I don't know who made reference to it, but white flour is like cement when it comes to, like cement, right, Dr. Eric? When it comes to
exactly.
Our vessels, our blood vessels in our body. So white flour and sugar are two things that we're addicted to: white bread, white pasta, white rice, and sugar. So those two things also, we have to help our communities, especially, to really come off of those things.
Wow. You know what? Mic dropped. And what you all are hearing, I'm watching this and I saw the number of people who were on this call go down, and all of a sudden it went back up. So I don't know what's going on, but I will say this. I couldn't do it alone. And if you're at the sound of my voice, I know what you have heard in the past all around the world, but the reality is that we all are still learning. And you're hearing new information, and it's something that I encourage you to not run away from. We all need help. And I know, like I said before, God sends help. This is me saying this. This is not the company saying this, but this is Minister Mooney saying, I know that when we need help or whatever we desire, that he sends help. So I love the fact that he sent Dr. Eric Prince, but I love even more that he sent our founders. And he sent a Dr. Rita, a Phyllis Nash, a Senator Van Pelt, and a Melissa Boston to put all of this together and have the vision to see it. So without further ado, we're going to close out. I love you all. I'm going to bring back our CEO because I just strongly feel that without her, I don't know how she sees all this stuff and sets us up like this. But without further ado, bring it back to the stage, Melissa Boston. Love you all. Back to you.
Wow, wow, wow. That is definitely a mic drop. I'm going to drop my mics in here. I think we just created a new segment, Dr. Rita and Dr. Prince. That'll be our 30-minute segment after all of our flat belly lifestyle. So give it up, guys.
Very powerful. Everybody give it up. I see the chat. I see you all. Man, thank you for your shares. It's amazing.
Yeah, so good job, guys. Wonderful. Get with the person who invited you. Get started. Let's go. And thank you guys for joining via video. Hey, Margaret Dorsey, Melody, how you guys doing? Gladys, and I think Felicia was there, Doris, and Marsha Jackson. We always love to have you guys with us on video, so thank you guys.
Austin, New York, I see y'all, and oh my God.
Wait a minute, March Madness, Willie. It's time to find out March Madness.
Okay? You know, March Madness. See you right now.